next, I'd like to present our following speaker. This is a marketer who will be talking about his own experiences with mental health. This will involve some very difficult things again, and he will be exploring it through numbers. So welcome, Lee Noble.
We on? Yeah. So, hi, nice to meet you all. This is the first time I've done something like this, so if I start crying because I forgot what I'm going to say, then please forgive me. But basically, as you can see on the screen behind me, I'm going to talk about mental health and my experiences with it, and my experiences with dealing with suicide, and my best friend Andy. And I'm going to do this through. Is this working? Numbers. Like clockwork. Yeah. We messed it up now. One second.
Entertain yourself, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Yeah, there we go, got it. So yeah, the reason I'm going to talk about it through numbers is because we can all understand numbers, hopefully. And we all have a base idea of what zero means, we have a base idea of what million means, and it's easier to portray something so emotional and so emotive through something that's so rudimentary that everyone can understand. Now, I'm going to be talking about my best friend, Andy. And Andy was the first childhood friend I had. So if you all have to think back to when you were a kid and you have to think about any childhood memory, there's probably usually one or two, if you're lucky, friends that you had that were always in all of those childhood memories. And for me, that was Andy. I remember I moved to Cheshire. I sort of lived in and around the area for a bit. I moved to Cheshire when I was about 7, I think. And I remember looking out my front window thinking, well, there's a group of kids down there. Shall I go and introduce myself? I was a bit shy at the time. I thought, let's just do it. I'm just going to go and introduce myself. And but I know we're still playing football at the time. I didn't really like football. I mean, now I'm a Manchester United fan, but we won't talk about that. And Andy was sat there watching because he didn't like football either. So at the time, we just clicked straight away. We started chatting. So that was when we were about 7 years old. Always with each other. My mum always called him her unofficial son. And he was always around at my house. He was always, even Christmas Day. Christmas Day, he was probably at my house. Playing on PlayStation, doing random stuff. We always used to go down the woods. We always used to go to the park. And later on, we did start to like football, play football as well. Not very well, thankfully. That's why I'm a rugby player. So yeah. When we were about 14 years old, you probably all have the same memory, is when we first got drunk. Everyone's done it. And that was a particularly funny story. I'll never forget that day. It was one of those typical stories where he told his parents he was at my house, I told my parents I was at his house, when we were actually face down in a field somewhere. So yeah, I don't really remember how we managed to get our hands on the alcohol. So an older lad, we were friends who got it off the back of a lorry, which we later found out was his mum and dad's cupboard. So, we basically, one of his favourite memories from that particular story is kicking me down a hill into a stream while I was inebriated, which was funny. He always liked to remind me of that. And at the end of that night, I remember he was begging me not to go home because it's like, your mum will literally kill you if you walk into your house like that. I was like, no, I'll be fine. So I walked into my house, straight upstairs, covered in various different liquids, beer, sick, rainwater, puddles, whatever. And my mum came up to me, unceremoniously undressed me, and I said to her, don't worry, Mum, you'll forget about it in the morning. She didn't. So yeah, that's when we were 14, and 3 injuries, all my fault, that Andy incurred. They were always my fault. I was never injured because of him. It was always me injuring him. Nearly blinded him with a stick. Ran over his neck with a bike. But the funniest one, he got injured, he was really hurt. And we was just going to the woods, and there was a sand quarry. We just loved jumping into the sand quarry because we were kids, you made out of rubber, you do what you want. And it was one last go. My brother was with us at the time, and he said, "I'll film you," on his like 1 megapixel camera, whatever it was. And Andy goes, "Right, I'm going to do it." He jumps, with more of a tumble than a jump, but he landed in a heap at the bottom of this sand quarry, and he's like, "Oh, my leg's killing me, I've definitely broke my leg." It's like, "Get up, there's nothing wrong with you." "No, honestly, I definitely heard a crack, and I was like, "You're fine, it's going to start raining soon, it's nearly tea time, come on, get up." A fire engine, winch, ambulance service, police cars, and half the village came out while Andy was winched out of the sand quarry because he had broken his leg and couldn't get out again. So yeah, he always blamed that on me because obviously I pushed him even though it was a problem with me. Only ever had 2 arguments, fully enough, as best mates. First one was when we were about 13. We were camping in his back garden for some reason, and we were arguing about the Bible. 2 13-year-old lads arguing about the Bible in a tent. Okay. The second one, we were walking home from town. We were a bit older, about 21, and I can't remember what we were arguing about. We were drunk, and he decided he wanted to try and punch me. But it's one of those, you ever have like a cat where it just palms you a little bit? It's kind of like that, and he looked at me and I went, "Do you want me to punch you?" And he went, "No." So I didn't. So 4 days between our birthdays, so growing up he was 4 days older than me and always let me know. It was great because growing up we always had birthday celebrations together. My other best mate's birthday's the same day as mine, so we always celebrated together. Usually me paying for Andy because he was never really like, I don't want to say he was in the privilege room because he wasn't. He was great. He loved what he did. He was a chef. And I always felt bad though, even from a young age, because I wanted him to have the things that my mum and dad were giving to me, and like his mum and dad were amazing as well. Like his mum and dad loved him so much, and they did everything they could for him. But I was always like, "Right, come on round mine, let's have a party, let's do this, let's do that." And I remember paying for him to my Liverpool once for a night out when we were about 20, just so he was there, just because he was my best mate. And I was like, "Look, I need you to be here with me because you're my best mate." 24 years old, and he was. 24 years and 10 months, almost literally to the day. And the unfortunate thing is it takes 13 seconds to pass out from asphyxia. Right? And about 120 seconds after that is when you eventually pass away, take your last breath. 783,648,000 seconds of life in 24 years and 10 months. Take away about 120 seconds. That's all it takes. That's all it took. 5 people I know that have committed suicide. 5 people. And of those 5 people, there were over 3,600 Facebook friends that they couldn't speak to, for whatever reason. Last year, 5,975 people took their own life for whatever reasons. And there's countless more in hospital recovering from failed attempts, one of which I know happened this week. But why? Why is this happening the way it is? So, at this point I want to sort of go into my own feelings and the way I interpret the way these things happen. And it's all strange because, especially as a man, like, you get to a point where it starts slowly and you sort of think to yourself, nah, it's not that bad a problem to talk about openly. It doesn't matter, it's something small, like I'm just feeling a bit down, that's all. But then it builds from there. So you get to the point then where you're like, maybe this is just me, maybe this is just who I am, maybe I am just a bit sad. It's not really something you want to admit in front of an audience of people, but the thing is it builds and it builds and it builds like that. So when I first started working in marketing, had my first job out of university, I remember every morning, I didn't have a car yet, and I used to walk to the train station. It used to take me half an hour. I used to leave my house at 6:30 in the morning, and I get to the train station for the 7 o'clock train, and It was cold, wet in the winter, November time, December, it was horrible, raining, cold, wet, like I said. You get to the train station, you stood there, and you're tired, and you're looking around, it's dark, it's lonely, there's no one else there, because it was quite grim out in the country train station. And you'd sort of be there, and you'd be thinking, the 657 Virgin Pendolino to London's coming past soon. Like, I'd never actually jump, but if I fell in front of it, I wouldn't be too bothered about it. And those are the sorts of issues that you start to think about that, and it starts to build more and more from there. And luckily, obviously for me, it didn't, because of course I only stood here. But these things do happen, and these thoughts do go into people's minds, where it goes from the inactive sense of, if it happened, I'll be alright with it, to I actually want to actively make it happen. And that's the problem. 65% more likely you are to commit suicide if you know someone close to you that's done so. And that terrified everyone close to me, obviously, after my best friend, his own life. But it's working past that, and in my opinion, it's great now that many people are talking about their feelings, and many men are coming out and being able to feel like they can talk to people. But I feel like the issue now is there's too much of a one-way communication. So people are encouraged now to talk about how they feel. It's amazing, and that's what people should be doing. But it's not those people now that should be worrying about who they talk to, because it's the issue, like I said, with one-way communication, it emphasises too much on that one person coming out to talk to people. What about the people that they talk to? That's the issue. And the problem is you get to this stage where people are approaching people with their problems, and that person's then going, I don't know what to say, don't know what to do, don't know what to tell them where to go. But you can actually try this. So imagine that your friend comes up to you and they say, I've fallen over badly, I'm sure I've broken my arm, I'm definitely sure I broke my arm, it's killing me, I can't move it. What would you say to them? Shout out, what would you say to you, man?
What was the doctors?
Doctors?
Sure.
A&E, ambulance, stuff like that. But generally, we know what to say to those people if they come up to you and say, I've got a broken arm. Slightly. But what happens if a friend comes up to you and says, I'm feeling a bit down lately, what should I do? There's multiple different answers to that question. Speak to your parents, speak to your friends, go and see a counsellor, go and see a doctor, speak to online groups. There's Calm, Mind, that's it now. Like, the issue is knowing where to point people in the direction where they do eventually come to you to speak about those problems. So, if there's one thing that I want people to take away from this talk today is know how to help. If someone does come to you, know where to point. Even if you're rubbish at giving advice, which I am sometimes, know where to point someone. Just do a little bit of research and tell other people to do a little bit of research so that not only the people around you will know that if they do go to you for help or anyone else for help, they've got the confidence to know that you're going to give them some good advice. But also, if anyone in this room or me or anyone else becomes that person that needs the help and advice, if this message is spread around more, there's more of a confidence for people to talk about what their feelings are and what their issues are. If they know that people are going to be able to help them, like I said, you break your leg, you go to the doctors. Like, if you have problems with your mental health, and we need to finish that sentence. So that's the one message I want everyone to take away from this talk. So thank you very much.